know, he's helping his mom. Wow. Let's start over. Hey, let's give it up for Faze. All right. So, storytelling involves getting into what's happened to you before and talking about that. For instance, when I was a little kid, I got in trouble. And so they sent me to a therapist, and they had me sit down with the therapist and talk to her for probably about 8 weeks. And then she said, I think I'm ready to talk to your parents. So they brought my parents in, they set them down. She said, I've been working with Dan, he has a lot of issues, but I think it can be fixed. She looked at my dad and said, you need to spend more time with your son. He did, with my brother.
Aww.
Yeah, ever been deep sea fishing? Not me. Ever been to the McDonald Observatory? Nope. Birds and the bees? Still waiting. So, you get into those types of things, you think about that, and you present about that. Our next storyteller is going to be talking about things like that as well. So let's all ready, let's get the name going. Kelly! 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 Kelly!
It was the summer of 1983. Think of the movie The Breakfast Club, the coming-of-age movie that shaped my definition. At that time, various labels were assigned to teens and their social status. Think of preppies and jocks and nerds and burnouts and losers. I was definite loser status. Envision a timid late bloomer going through an extended awkward phase. I even had a girl's mullet haircut. I had poor posture and a voice that sounded like nails on a chalkboard. I couldn't talk to or even look at a boy, and the mean girls were real. But going to high school in a few weeks was a chance for a new opportunity to reinvent myself. One day, I clearly remember going out to grab the mail and seeing the cover of my dad's Reader's Digest magazine. There in captions was the title, Overcoming Shyness. So I grabbed the magazine and I went up to my room to dive into it. It started off with a clinical definition of a shy person. As I read along, I knew they were talking about me. But then the article went on to give tips on how one would overcome their social anxiety. And honestly, I only remember one of those to this day. It was looking people in the eye. I was committed, and when I started high school, I made the attempt to look up, not down, when I was walking down the halls or in the classroom or in the lunchroom and look my fellow students in the eye. It wasn't always easy and I wasn't always successful, but eventually I gained more confidence and I started standing up straighter. And I even started making new friends and joining some extracurricular activities. But I found one that would aid my personal journey and was my ultimate passion. It was drama club. Fast forward to the end of my junior year, I had leveled up. I was at the pinnacle height of my high school transformation. No longer had that weird mullet haircut, and I was no longer loser status. I was serving as vice president of drama club, and I was busy about planning the end of the year award ceremony. I was so busy, in fact, that I had forgotten that at the beginning of this meeting, before the ceremony, there were going to be nominations and elections for next year's officers. Honestly, though, who would challenge me? I was heir apparent. Nobody was more passionate about drama club than I, and I have been serving in various leadership capacities over the last 7 years. So I thought. Then someone raised their hand. It was Kristen Tomasco. How dare someone challenge me? As soon as she raised her hand, my stomach sank, and that shy, unconfident Kelly returned. I knew I was in trouble. It was my sixth sense. I anxiously waited as the votes were tallied, and I realized that I had forgotten my previous social status. I had forgotten about my constituents. I had forgotten about the nerds. See, Kristen was part of the intellectual nerd contingent of our club. Then there came the announcement. Kristen Tomasco had won. It was a true revenge of the nerds type moment. I stood up there in disbelief, but I had to carry on, for I was the MC of the awards ceremony. But at the end of the day, after that, and I got in my car, I lost it. I couldn't stop crying. The shock, the embarrassment, the disappointment. Up until that time in my life, I had never lost something that I worked so hard for, that I was so important to me. So, the next year, I reluctantly decided to continue with drama club. It was hard. I watched Kristen Tomasco get all these accolades. She even got to appear on a local TV talk show. I was jealous. I was resentful. I couldn't stand the name Kristen Tomasco. But there was one bittersweet moment at the end of my senior year when my classmates voted me most dramatic, not her. Fast forward to 2017, my Facebook account was a buzz. I was getting messages and notes and friend requests left and right, for it was going to be my high school's 30th reunion. But do you know who the first person to reach out to me was? Kristen Tomasco. She sent me this long message saying how she loved to follow my adventures on Facebook, and that our daughters were the same age and going to college, and they were both studying to be photojournalists together. And she wondered if I would be at my reunion and if we could connect. I told her I would be there. Meanwhile, my friends and I are getting together, being true 80s girls. We are planning our wardrobes, our beauty regimens. We decided to leave our significant others at home and meet up ahead of time together before arriving at our big reunion. It was brilliant, actually. We actually shared these social media posts of us partying ahead of time, and when we arrived, we were the it girls. Everyone wanted to talk to us. It was surreal, it was fun, and my ego didn't want it to end. I felt like the most popular girl in high school. But I noticed Kristen Tomasco out of the corner of my eye. She had also come, and she had come alone, and she was mingling about. Towards night's end, I felt a little tap on my shoulder, and it was her. Honestly, like, what would we talk about? She ruined my ambitions senior year, but I graciously agreed to end my time as a social butterfly and sit down and have a conversation with her. Actually, it developed into a wonderful conversation, and time moved by, and soon there was last call and the party was ending. And all my friends were going on to where the next event was going to be because no one wanted the night to end. Kristen asked me if I needed a ride home because she lived by my parents' house where I was staying. I agreed. And then momentarily, shy Kelly returned as I watched the party move on without me, not even looking back. I never said goodbye to anyone, and I rode home with Kristen that evening. We talked more in the car, and when we got to the neighborhood, she asked me if I wanted to come in, and I did. Came into her house, and we sat down and talked some more. She showed me pictures of her daughter's photography, and honestly, it was a beautiful way to end the evening. And I realized what I missed out on all those years ago, a true friend who deserved to be president.